prison though, so it wasn't a big deal.
So yeah, you get 3 for 1 or something. Actually, I guess here is the think of on podcast 658. What was the weirdest thing that Travis said so far, other than he had a possessed backhoe? Apparently, I sent a letter to a federal prison today to a famous prisoner that I am friends with.
Epstein's dead though.
If you could, and maybe Zach could start going Google crazy. He is in Inglewood Correctional Facility in Denver area, Colorado. And I grew up with this person and never knew he had a problem, and he is serving time. And he did not have a bunky roommate named Kyle. So boom. And Jared Fogle is absolutely correct, Zach. My friend,
I was close with Epstein.
You know Jared Fogle? That's so fucking funny. Tell us about Jared.
Yeah. So Jared was a great friend of mine, and people go, oh my God, he was this, that, and other, whatever else. Jared and I we went to more NASCAR races, I've been to a Super Bowl because I knew him. And, people say, well, you never know what your friends are into or whatever else. So Jared gave up a addiction and picked up a addiction. So I would always be like, who wants to have sex with your fat ass? Like, I was always like, we were just pals. We were just friends. But since I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do drugs, I don't have any earrings, cavities, tattoos, body piercings, I was always pretty boring. But I was a club disc jockey, and Jared liked to party. And he would come in and hang out, and he knew, since I didn't drink and anything, that I would just drop him off. He literally lived 6 miles from my house, right? Like, and we were friends for years. Oh, he had a gorgeous home. And but
is this mid Subway years? Like, he's already.
Oh yeah, this is Subway years, and he would call me. I would drop him off at home, and I would just go to bed, and it would be like 7:10 in the morning on a Sunday, and it would like Travis, come pick me up, and I'm like, bro, it's 7:10, and they're like, what are we doing? He goes, I have to say, gentlemen, start your engines at the Subway 400 at the Ontario Auto Club Speedway in California. And it's first class all the way. What time are you going to be here? I'm like, fuck. All right, I'll be there in like 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. And so it was always weird because when Jared and I would travel, he could, like, if he needed coffee, he could never walk up to like if there was a Hardee's at the airport, I would go get the coffee because someone would take a picture of him. Mm-hmm. I'd be like, oh God, Jared's at Hardee's. And so, but there's a big fat ass picture of Jared wearing a blue Dallas Clark jersey. And we are in the Indianapolis International Airport, and it's a terrible picture of him. And he's kind of turned sideways in like the Bigfoot pose. You know what I mean? Like, mm-hmm. and if whenever you do like the wide shot of it, my dumbass is standing right next to him in that picture. So we fly all the way out to somewhere, and when we land, like, his phone just explodes, like, and there's all this stuff that says, Jared's off the bandwagon, he's a fat fuck, whatever else. And I am standing right next to him in that photo right there. And he
not a good angle.
Not a good angle.
Yeah, he just looks like a fat fuck. So that's that baggage terminal.
Can I say the fact that the part of his body that protrudes the most seems to be the middle of his chest, that's a good look.
So needless to say, that is us leaving Indianapolis International. So I don't know where the hell I'm at. I'm definitely not that guy right there. But we were going to California, and his phone explodes because, of course, he has no cell phone service when we're in the air. Mm-hmm. And there's this big thing about how he's a fat fuck and whatever else. So we go do our thing, and then end up at a hotel. He goes in his room and does whatever the hell he was doing. Travis, married and happy, went to bed. And that evening was the evening that Tiger Woods and his wife got into a fight with the golf clubs, and the car went into the ditch. And we were like, thank you, Tiger Woods. We're like,
Yeah.
Thank you, Tiger
but so
Woods.
yeah, I mean, it was and knowing, and so we kind of, didn't hang out very much anymore when his co-defendant, which is Russ Taylor, and him became friends, and he became like the chairman of his Jared Foundation and all that stuff. And I could kind of see the wheels were falling off. But if everybody has a friend that has a problem, and everybody that's listening to this or watching this is like, yeah, somebody either drinks too much or smokes too much or what they watch at home or what they do, you can never control what your friends do. And so I was like, okay, the morning that Jared's house got raided, because this is Indianapolis and Jared he lives right up the street, and he's a local celebrity worth, $15 million at the time. And so, your phone's going, helicopters over somewhere Jared's house. And I'm like, got one eye open, and I'm like going, wow. Right. So I go to the bathroom, comb my teeth, walk back in, turn the TV on. It's probably 10 after 7 a.m. And I'm like going, and my wife rolls over and she's like going, wow. And I looked at her and I go, no matter what, I said, they will not be here at this house. And she's like, no matter what, they will not be at this house or whatever else. You're friends with Jared and blah, blah, blah.
Oh,
he's this creep.
Damn, you're getting it at home already? First thing?
Dude, so it's like, two days later, and I'm like, oh shit, right? So my daughter, 18 at the time, now 28, she answers the phone. She goes, or answers the door. She goes, Dad, 2 guys in a Dodge Charger in the driveway. I'm like, oh. So I'm like, all right, put them in the front room, and I, put clothes on, walk out. My wife's going, they aren't going to be here, right? There's not be here, right? So I'm like going, Haley, I'm like, babe, look. So I walk out there, and they literally questioned me for like 15 minutes. And then the last thing they said was, because anybody who was in his phone got a knock like that week, like any text, anything. And of course, Jared and I would communicate, and we'd whatever. So the last thing they said to me was like, hey, do you think Jared would ever cheat on his wife? And I go, no. I said, I just DJ'd their wedding like 3 years ago. He's got 2 kids. Like, he's always dying to, and at that point they knew I didn't know a thing, and that was it. But like when I was almost let down, because of course, some of there's a really terrible documentary right now with some chick that really wants a lot of money that was on like Investigation Discovery recently, and you can't defend your friend that's has a frickin' problem. But Jared was always one of those people, and and no matter how creepy it is, like the age of consent in New York is, let's say, 15, and that is pretty damn disgusting. But the age of consent in Indiana was like 16. But he would set up his little rendezvous using his phone from Indiana, and then he would say, hey, I'll pick you up at the airport because I have to open a Subway or something in New York. But by doing that, that's a federal crime, and that's why he's in federal prison right now. And the chick that kind of set him up was kind of creepy. His co-defendant is a super creep, and he just kind of got mixed up in the wrong crap. So anyhow, I was like, man, I need to be a better friend, even though I don't agree with the things that, some people may be very opinionated that, oh, I heard Jared did this, I heard Jared that, but I was there firsthand, and I saw, and I had no idea this shit was going on. So literally, when he got arrested and everything else, or well, he didn't actually get arrested, he couldn't go back to his home, and he had a beautiful home, and his parents still living in Indianapolis, and of course they lived on this cul-de-sac, and so I drove over there. And I'm driving into the driveway, and here comes the camera crew, like racing up behind me, like, all right, like we just won the Publishers Clearinghouse, like they're up my ass, like up the driveway. And I knock on the door, and they expect there to be another camera crew in the driveway. And Mrs. Fogle answers. She goes like, oh, it's Travis. And I wander in. Of course, there's a video of me like walking in the house. I'm like, oh God, here we go. That's like the local DJ hanging out with Subway, creepy ass Subway Jared. I'm like, oh, that's all I need. So I put my cell phone on his parents' island, and he threw his phone on the island, and I said, let's go downstairs and tell me what the hell I missed. Like, where did I miss all of this? Because I was friends. There's pictures of us when I had red hair, and I'm like going like, dude, what happened? So I sent him a letter today, just stating that I was going to be in Denver in the next couple months, and I would love to come see him because he looks, if Zach does some due diligence, and if you remember what Jared looked like, he doesn't look like that anymore. And like before he went to prison, I took him to go get LASIK because these are reading glasses, but he was always notorious. You'd see him push up Sharknado. He had a bit in Sharknado that they cut out. They had to cut it out right when he got arrested the week that Sharknado happened. But yeah, that's him right there. That's what he looks like now.
Really?
Yeah, on the left.
They're still getting them sandwiches in there.
Well, yeah. And I knew the one on the right with the Indianapolis 28. That is a whoever the running back was back in the day for the Colts. But I knew that Jared on the right. So, but yeah,
so there were never any like
nothing.
Yeah, like and crazy moments where you're like, this doesn't make sense. Why is he with this super young girl? Like
and nothing. And I was always since I was such a good friend, it would always just kind of like, well, I should keep that from. And we took him to get LASIK. That's why he doesn't have any glasses on in the picture. But
that's great.
It was always
he knew he was going to prison, so he was like, better get this fixed.
When we did, I took him to go get it. So yeah. It was.
I wonder if he was thinking, in every movie, the first thing they do is take the guy's glasses, and then he can't see to defend himself.
You told the story like he was with 15-year-olds, and it would have been legal if he wasn't.
So yeah, and but by making his rendezvous via, state lines, that's federal, and so
he also even had child pornography.
Yeah, and that was the Russell, his co-defendant. So that's. Very, very creepy. And it was like
so child porn, and he met up with 15-year-old girls. That's what he
pretty
did.
much. Yep. And that's so he would always be like hanging out with Russ, and Russ was a creepy bastard. But he was like the person who shouldn't be on drugs, but you got that one friend to be like, hey, let's go do some drugs. They're like, yeah, let's go do some drugs. But he was the very much the enabler. And
I'd so much rather I would so much rather have a friend with a drug problem than
so much rather, dude.
Like if I found out a friend of mine was a pedophile, it'd be like, number one, it'd be like, how did I not see this? How did I not know?
Yeah, that's
like I'm sure that's the number one thing you think is like, okay, what did I miss? What did I miss? Like that. Did you do that? Like when you found out, you went back through your
completely.
What did I miss?
What did I miss? Why didn't I see this? And that's why, like, I went and met up with him at his parents' house, and I was like, what did I miss here? But yeah, that was co-defendant, and he was super enabler, super creepy.
Are his parents normal people?
Yeah, his mom was, of course, was a school teacher, and his dad was a pediatrician, and just the nicest people on earth.
Did he have any relationships with like ladies, just regular women? Like, did he ever date or have a girlfriend?
Yeah. And so, of course, like I said, he was married when it all went down. And Katie is a super amazing, nice young lady. Has obviously nothing to do with him now, but it was very weird because.
But she made out.
At that point, at what cost? So. She has kids. I'm sure there is now, but
the mental cost of realizing you were married to someone like that, like that's
right. Well, or the cost of realizing that I had no idea, and I was like, literally, they raided his house on a Monday, and I talked to him on the Saturday, and had no idea, and I was like, oh wow. So when we start talking about Kyle's mean stint in the clink, I was like, my guy, I got you on commissary, put you some money on your books, and I got you hooked up,
I can't relate. I knew Kyle smoked pot the whole time.
Yep.
I was well aware.
Yeah. I can't believe
y'all are technically culpable. You could do time.
That's so funny. What was the most fun you ever had with Jared Fogle? Like
Super Bowl. Going to Super Bowl. Yeah, we went. No, he had I owned one of the General Lees from the Dukes of Hazzard. And Jared was a big Dukes of Hazzard fan growing up, as kids my age were, kids Woody's age were. And we all went to a Benihana, and I drove the damn General Lee to a Benihana, a Chinese or Japanese restaurant. And so we're all sitting there, and everybody's doing sake bomb. And of course, I don't drink. And I'm like, okay, it looks like everybody's piling in the General Lee on the way home, like whatever. And so Jared is heavily cocktailed, and I know John Schneider, Bo Duke John Schneider, like real well. And so I said, okay, so for your birthday, we're going to drive the General Lee, and I'm going to call Bo Duke, and you can talk to Bo Duke in the General Lee for your 30th birthday or whatever it was. And so we're driving through Indianapolis, and we come down to this like club district in the damn General Lee with the most famous face on earth, which was Jared at the time, and in the most famous car on earth. And Jared's like, pull over here. And I'm like, and he was fun. Like he was, I mean, you know, you can roast me to the end of time that I was friends with him, but we never knew he had a problem. So
yeah,
so we pulled over. I'm like, why? And we are in the freaking Jimmy John's parking lot, Subway's head competitor. And he's like out the window, like Jimmy John's and all this stuff. He's like, Travis, hit the horn. I'm like, so little like the drivers that night at Jimmy John's walk out and they're like going, dude, Subway Jared is in a General Lee out in our parking lot hitting the horn and flipping us off. And I'm like going, does it get any better than this? Like, this is my life.
That's pretty good.
So, but yeah, we had a lot of fun.
Jared's on his phone texting. No one knows. No one knows what he's really that excited about that evening.
It was that girl behind the counter at Jimmy John's.
Yeah.
You
I'm in this
hateful detention.
So yeah,
again,
I mean, it was just
couldn't see me.
You can watch a lot of, and we ended up on TMZ a lot. You can watch a lot of you know, tabloid stuff, and a lot of it is very kind of, you know, fan made and whatever else, and we leave Britney alone kind of stuff and whatever. But it was weird because he was just a normal dude to me. But then when it all went down, everybody's like we followed local disc jockey Travis Bell because he was friends with here he is right here in a picture. What do you got to say? I'm like, dude, keep my name out of the shit. Yeah. Because I knew nothing, and it was almost sad that I couldn't help. But he had a horrific co-defendant, and at that point, you can't do anything. He was a very big enabler.
And he's what's his like thing now? How long is Jared in prison?
And so doing federal time, like back in the day when Kyle did federal time, if Kyle got 1 year of federal time, Kyle would get 3 for 1. So you get 3 days for 1 day. And that's federal time because federal prisons are pretty loaded up, Kyle, right? Back when you were locked up, they were loaded.
Wasn't that long ago.
Sorry, bro. So if you, but if you had 1 month to do, you're going to do 10 days, and that's it, because it's 3 for 1, 3 for 1, 3 for 1. And Jared had made a financial agreement with all of his victims, quote unquote, even though these ladies of the night were already paid, then they got paid again. So none of them came to testify against Mr. Fogle. But the judge knew that that's the game that he played. So he took a plea agreement for like 12 and a half years or 15 and a half years. But by that time, remember, if you're doing 3 for 1, you're going to do about 5 and be out. But she sentenced him to like 21 years to make sure he did all 15 and a half of his years. Mm-hmm. So he is already kind of up and over the hump, if I remember right, but I haven't been out there in a while to see him, so I'm going to. So
these girls, were they? You called them ladies of the night. Were they prostitutes?
They were paid. Prostitutes? They were paid. Yeah, they were all paid.
It looks like what Zach linked is that he got in trouble for child sex tourism. So he was going places for the purpose of having sex with people who were underage.
That's another thing of how do you prove it? But of course, he was hanging out. Well, where's Kyle got to go? He's got to let the dogs out.
Probably. He's probably got one of the.
I'm gonna take a piss while you talk about your pedophile friend.
But yeah,
I mean, like, you can't be buddies with him after he gets out or anything.
You can't.
I'm surprised you're talking to him now. Really, like I really think I would cut all contact with someone if I find out. Actually, that's not a thing. I 100% know I would.
Yeah, and for me, I was like going. We were such good friends. I was like, fuck, and so I have not talked to him or seen him in 7 years now, and I just had a printed out thing on my computer's desktop. It was like, you should send him a letter, and so I did to this morning, which is bizarre, but and everybody's like, and oh my God, there is no worse crime than that crime. There is nothing. And you do not come back from that shit. He will never be seen in public again. You will never catch him and me in an airport ever again.
Mm-hmm.
But think about how on top of the world he was just for eating frickin' Subway sandwiches. So
he was, and then he had to be a pedophile, and then go to jail for it.
Yeah,
thankfully,
but his co-defendant has got like 30 some odd years or something, and his co-defendant's wife just went to jail too. So she fought it forever, and she ended up with a ton of years too. So damn,
that's a whole lot of people spending a lot of time in jail for nefarious activities.
She got 33 years and 4 months. Oh, wow.
And
they were 4 months tickles me,
but they were like just the most disgusting, like creepy people, but they latched onto Jared and then enabled him, and he had a effing problem anyhow. Like it wasn't, oh, Jared was this. No, he was a creepy bastard. Like that is sick as could be. But then they were just feeding him a shit sandwich right there, and he was eating all of it. So
yeah, but he had to eat it. He had he was the money man, I would assume, like facilitating all of this.
Absolutely. 100%.
And he wasn't doing it magnanimously. He's doing it because he wanted to have sex with underage children.
Creepy.
Yeah.
So that's why I had to remove myself from him when all of that shit went down. And I was like going, all right, I'll be in Denver. Maybe I'll take a visit. Maybe I won't take a visit. But like I said, if you're right, if you find out some of your friends are up to this shit, you have got to be like, they are dead to me. But, I never knew he had a problem. He was not that person that I knew. So.
Oh, yeah. There's no way you can hold someone accountable at all for their friend doing fucked up shit. If they encourage it and excuse it, of course. But that's unreal that you were friends with Subway Jared Fogle.
For years.
Jokes aside, like 100% serious, when he gets out, do you think that he could have a career in
done? No,
not in the sandwich business, but
he won't be able to be like a counselor. He won't be able to do. He will have to live in nowhere.
Well, definitely not a counselor.
Yeah, no, well, he can't even work in a high school.
He can't even.
Those are his favorite people, and
he can't even get a job at a daycare, Kyle. You don't get it. It's over for him. But he can't be a school nurse. If he had a Twitter that was interesting, like a whole social media thing, like I'll say this, OJ is very interesting. I watch OJ's
podcast just called Foot Long.
Yeah,
the full 6 inches with Jared Fogles.
6 inches is funnier.
Well, you used to take footlongs or whatever else. So it's.
I hope not.
I wonder what his prison experience is like, because I know it can be tough for child molesters, but I assume he's in some protective. He's the other ones.
They are, and I figured that out too, because I was like, I told the CEO of my life, I was like, he's not going to last a week. Like he's going to be dead by the end of this phone call, basically. Yeah. And they, Inglewood has a protective side for chomos and child molesters and whatever else. And of course he's on that side, but he got the complete living shit kicked out of him about 7 years ago. And, what probably well-deserved, but that's, what do you do? Like go if
he doesn't look like a fighter.
No, hell no. But I figured that Kyle may have bumped into him during his stint, but I guess not. So
I was down south. I was at the Alabama Federal Correctional Institute or whatever the fuck they call that nonsense place. Talladega. Yeah. It's in Alabama.
Sure.
No chomos there. Mostly tax cheats and ex gang members and shit, stuff like that.
Right. Was it minimum security? Is that what it was?
Yeah, you could call it. It's a camp. It's a camp. So like, yeah.
How long ago was this stint?
Fuck, it's been like 3-4 years ago now, right?
Yeah, like 3 years, probably.
Damn, man, you still got street cred with that.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was in there with some scary people. Actually,
they called him White Lightning by the end.
There was somebody famous that was in the medium side of where I was
running
like,
around the track,
like not down lower
because he came too fast.
Well, there's that.
No, but seriously though, I would watch Jared Fogles' YouTube. I would watch his podcast if he had. It sounds to me like he was traveling around doing a lot of fun stuff, and he has interesting stories. I like hearing like the stuff you did with him, the 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 times or whatever. Like those trips sound interesting and fun. I bet he's got cool stories the same way that like OJ does. I don't.
Sure.
I guess it's a fair comparison. I don't mean that he's as bad as OJ. I guess
no. That's a fair comparison. That's a very.
He cut heads off. You know, those girls are fine.
Yeah,
they're compensated.
But yeah, I mean, it's just.
I wonder how they feel about their experience, right? Because it's voluntary. They were paid. Then they were. It looks like he paid him another $100,000 later.
$100,000 each victim. So, at what point do you be like, yes, creepy. No, don't want to have anything to do with these people.
I would watch a porno with Jared Fogle where he fucked the girl from Wendy, like have some other chick dressed up as her, and have him fuck Wendy. I would watch that. So he needs to tell him that.
Kyle's like, I would watch his podcast, his YouTube, his chatterbait, his porno.
I'm a big. I mean, Travis likes Jared. I love fan. Jared.
It's not that I liked Jared. We were just friends.
Of course.
But this will come out on the YouTubes, and there will be video of you saying that you would have watched Jared go to Pound Town with the
we say ridiculous stuff.
Well, all right, but I want the Wendy's that's on the girlfriend that's on the sign. I don't know if you've ever seen Dave Thomas's real daughter or nephew or niece rather, or whatever she was.
Sure.
That kid had like not enough chromosomes or too many. I can never tell which, but that's like an ugly fucking child. Yeah, I guess if you want to keep throwing Rocky under the bus, okay. who didn't do anything to any little girls, by the way. He's just down there being a nice boy, you know, guarding the house. I bet
he humps everyone he meets.
He's fixed, poor guy.
No,
he's just got floof back there. Yeah,
floof.
So anyhow, that was when you went down prison lane. I was like, damn, I just sent a letter to a prison today.
Yeah,
and but yeah, I don't think there's a lot of people driving in the same car you are, because if he came out with anything on social media, Twitter or whatever else, and I don't know that he would legally be allowed to because of sentencing guidelines. I think there'd be more people waiting outside for him to kill him versus I don't know if he'll ever be able to set foot anywhere. So,
well, I think that he can absolutely have, it's freedom of speech. They can't say he can't have a Twitter where he talks about the good old days of being Jared. Or I would self-produce a documentary. I would have a YouTube channel, and I would have a podcast if I were Jared Fogle. And I would tell Jared Fogle stories, and I would keep the sketchy stuff away from the show.
I'm gonna let you know the co-host of that show will not be Travis Bell at all.
I mean, someone's gotta be there for him.
No, I had my friendship. I feel like
you could do a themed race for him in your backyard, like Cops and Robbers, where he's there.
Yeah.
Or he could announce
that would be the OJ race, like the OJ Simpson race.
Yeah,
everybody has Broncos and